Over to your questions from Graham Day now, please.
Thank you, Convener. My questions are directed to Professor Scott in the first instance. In your report of this week, you note that University of Scotland and Colleges Scotland established a National Articulation Forum which produced its final report in 2022. However, very limited progress has been made. I wonder if you could expand for us on why you think that has disappointingly been the case, and maybe highlight some areas where you think progress could be made to the greatest benefit.
Well, I think progress has been disappointing. I think the key area is, at the moment, the attitude tends to be that the student themselves needs to justify why they should be given advanced standing. So, in a sense, the onus of proof is on them. I think the default position should be the other way around. Essentially, it should be assumed that HNC, person with an HNC should enter the second year of a degree, and an HND potentially the third year of a degree. Now, I know that in some subjects the curriculum fit between the HND and the degree is not that good, and therefore there's a need for some students perhaps to repeat some work or do take on some stuff which they previously hadn't covered in their HND. The overlap is sometimes the other way. Things are covered in HNDs which are not covered in the first year or second year of a degree programme. So there are genuine difficulties. But one of the problems, I think, is that there are many people in universities, perhaps in more traditional universities, who are relatively unfamiliar with higher nationals. So it's really important that that kind of better understanding of the standing and of HNs is better understood by people who take key decisions in universities. But certainly I think progress has been too slow. The Funding Council itself, as I mentioned earlier, has a target of 75% of students, HN students, getting advanced standing. We're still way below that, and that target stood for some time. So the progress towards it, I once described in one of my reports, I think, as rather glacial, and I still think that's probably a fair description. I think this is the one area where I think there is need for much, much greater urgency, because you're asking.
Thank you. That's very useful. So would it be fair to say then that what needs to happen here is the curriculum being tweaked on the part of the colleges, but a change in culture and attitude from the university side of it?
I think we always have to remember that higher nationals are, in a sense, freestanding qualifications in their own right. I mean, and they're highly valued by employers and well understood by employers. So I don't think higher nationals should be seen simply as sort of transitional courses leading into degrees, because in many areas that just doesn't happen. But the areas in which there is quite a significant number of HN students who go on to degree programs, I think that more attention needs to be paid to matching the curriculum. But that shouldn't just be one-way matching. I don't think colleges need to adapt their curriculum. I think the universities might on occasions have to adapt theirs. To some degree, there is a difference of culture. The argument's been put to me that university students are more autonomous learners than college students. I think this is a terrible stereotype. But these old stereotypes, I think, go around in people's heads and they influence their attitudes, make them more positive or less negative. And so we need to address those issues of culture and stereotypes as well, I think.
It's quite disappointing, though, isn't it, that all these years into the process we're still in this situation?
Well, I mean, I don't underestimate the issues that people in universities face. I mean, obviously, they want to ensure that their students not only succeed but get good outcomes, not only in terms of degrees but also in terms of employment opportunities. So that emphasis on continuation rates and success rates to some degree can act as a bit of a drag on what they might be seen as taking risks when it comes to admitting students. So, I mean, I sympathise with the university point of view. But I think more pressure should be put on here. And as I say, I think the default should be flipped in a way. I think the default position should be that HN students are given full credit for what they've already achieved, unless there are reasons why that is not appropriate in their particular circumstances, or because the fit between their course and the university course is not that good. You've got to remember that some people, of course, will be switching to an entirely different subject area. In that case, I think there is more justification for saying they need to start at an earlier stage in the degree programme. But when they're continuing effectively in the same subject area, the argument is much weaker there.
Thank you very much, Convener. If I may just take that on a little bit, I think it would be reasonable to bring Audrey Cumberford in on that, and given her lived experience of this.
I don't disagree with much of what Sir Peter has just said. I mean, advanced standing has improved, there's no question. So in Edinburgh, 22% increase in our students who have HNC and HND, moving on to either second or in some cases third year of a degree programme. And that is often dependent not just on your relationship with the individual institution at institutional level in the university, but also in those curriculum areas and provision. And I think Sir Peter makes an important point, which is the purpose of HNCs and HNDs is not to create a pipeline of articulation to universities. That is right for some people, but it's not the main driver, because those qualifications exist in their own right and are very much focused on and actually work, and in fact increasingly people in work looking for upskilling and reskilling opportunities. So it's complex to get underneath, you know, the kind of reasons why there has been slow progress, but there is definitely progress, and I agree there could be more progress and faster progress.
But presumably, Convener, it's a mixed picture across the country. There will be areas like your own where there's been progress, but presumably based on the findings of the Commissioner's report, overall there is an issue, or there remains an issue.
Again, it's difficult for me to speak specifically on other regions, but certainly the sector as a whole has been working very, very closely with University Scotland and the university sector as a whole to look at how we can collectively improve the position.
With respect, after the number of years that you've been at this collectively, Sir Peter still produces a report with that line in it which suggests that progress, I think he used the word glacial in there in his contribution. It has been slow, hasn't it? And can we anticipate a quickening of that pace in the years to come, do you think?
Certainly in my experience, locally, there is a willingness and a commitment to making that happen, yes. Thank you.